All right, let's dive right into a cinematic explainer that is frankly going to radically reframe everything you thought you knew about the Grand Theft Auto universe. For decades now, we've navigated these massive, incredibly detailed, satirical digital worlds, completely convinced that we were the ones driving the story. But today, we're going to look past the explosions and the heists right at the cold, hard architecture of Rockstar's design. We are peeling back the layers of this American dream simulator to discover a much darker, underlying reality.
Because, we naturally just assume this franchise revolves around the iconic faces that grace the covers of the games. We think of Tommy Vercetti completely taking over Vice City. We think of CJ coming back to Grove Street. We picture Nico Bellic stepping off that boat, or the absolute chaotic trio of Michael, Trevor, and Franklin tearing their way through Los Santos. We've basically been conditioned from day one to believe that these specific individuals are the center of the universe.
Part 1. The Illusion of Protagonists.
So we celebrate these characters, right? Mostly because they seemingly forge their own destinies out of thin air. They start with absolutely nothing, and through a series of pretty violent, highly calculated moves, they build literal empires. Just look at where they all start. You've got Franklin in a South Los Santos bungalow, Michael in that opulent Vinewood mansion, and Trevor out in a rusted desert trailer. The developers meticulously use this real estate to define their socioeconomic standing right out of the gate. They enter the criminal underworld utterly desperate to force the world to give them something better.
Part 2. Empires rise and fall.
But here is the brutal truth. Ultimately, every single criminal empire they build either totally collapses or proves to be entirely hollow. The personal victories, they're fleeting. As Michael DeSantis so perfectly captures it, "Oh, I'm living the dream, baby," and that dream is fucked. It just shows that individual wealth cannot overcome the oppressive weight of their environment. Think about it. Michael has the mansion, the sports cars, the infinite bank account, yet he begins GTA 5 sitting in therapy, utterly miserable. He hit the absolute pinnacle of the Los Santos consumerist fantasy, only to find it completely devoid of meaning. It's a really stark repudiation of the exact American dream they all fought so hard to achieve.
Part 3. The Unchanging Ermine Machine.
So if the protagonist's journeys are ultimately futile and short-lived, what is actually permanent in this universe? Well, drawing on Jane Jacobs' theories of urban planning, we start to see that the complex streets, the highways, the infrastructure, those are actually the vital, unchanging organs of this world. Los Santos doesn't just act as a pretty backdrop, it operates as a living, breathing machine. It's teeming with artificial intelligence, traffic algorithms, and economic loops that function perfectly, with or without the player.
You really have to look at the true power structures at play here. These deeply embedded systems are the massive, frankly unbreakable machines that truly govern the games. Back in San Andreas, it was the deeply institutionalized police corruption of CRASH. In Los Santos, it's that inescapable, ultra-aggressive consumerism that's mocking you from literally every billboard and radio station. And then, of course, you have these wild existential layers, like the Epsilon program. Their lore explicitly states the world is exactly 157 years old and never ages. It's a pretty terrifying metaphor for a simulation that's just trapped into perpetual loop, right?
Part 4. The system always survives.
Once you see this architectural permanence, the way you view the entire history of the franchise completely shifts. Across every single era, from 1986 all the way to 2013, the faces change, the street gangs change, but those overarching government agencies, the massive institutions, and the corporate structures, they remain perfectly intact. We travel from the neon streets of Vice City all the way to the modern, smoggy sprawl of Los Santos, and guess what? The FIB is still pulling the strings. The stock market is still actively manipulating the masses. The mega corporations are still selling the exact same empty promises. The system survives Tommy. It survives CJ. It survives Nico.
Part 5. The world changes them.
Rockstar's hidden pattern here is incredibly dark, but it's also incredibly simple. The protagonists never actually change the world. I mean, sure, you might steal a few $1,000,000 or assassinate a corrupt CEO, but the overarching machinery of the city, it literally doesn't skip a beat. It's this bold contrast between the illusion of your own individual criminal agency and the crushing permanence of the socioeconomic machine you're trapped inside. You are handed the ultimate sandbox freedom to cause absolute chaos, yet structurally, you are entirely powerless to alter the fundamental fabric of the simulation. You're free to do whatever you want as long as it doesn't disrupt the bottom line.
Part 6. The true main character.
Because as our beloved characters inevitably fade away into video game history, only the illuminated, unchanging city skylines remain standing beneath the dark sky. Those individual chaotic narratives we love so much, they're really just temporary sparks in the night. The city itself, the cold code, the algorithms, the geography, the dark satirical reflection of our own society, that is the only thing that possesses true immortality. And it leaves us with a chilling thought that kind of redefines the entire franchise. What if we've been looking at this backwards the whole time? The faces change, the decades change, but the system survives. What if the real protagonist of GTA was the system all along?